I've always been a big fan of Ricky Gervais, and while he's not my favourite comedian of all time, he's certainly up there. There was a time when I would rush to his defence while the hordes of naysayers would attack his work and make comments about his weight. I've seen all three of his initial stand-up shows, and each one made me laugh a little bit harder than the last. His TV shows The Office and Extras were clever, and managed to take me on a guided tour around a whole spectrum of emotion and... Wait a minute, I think I'm getting carried away here. Anyway, you might forgive me for having high expectations for his latest outing into the world of mainstream cinema, The Invention of Lying. Just before I go into any more detail, I must warn you now that the following will contain spoilers. Actually, no I don't, that's a blatant lie. There is honestly nothing I could say or do that would ruin this film for you any more than Ricky Gervais has already managed to do, all by his fat little self. The film opens with Gervais doing a 1 minute and 17-second explanation, yes, I timed it, of what the film is all about, and you have to wonder why he felt compelled to do this. Even for the most intellectually challenged among us, it's relatively obvious that the film was always going to be about the invention of lying, and with Ricky Gervais being the main character, he was odds on to make this breakthrough. It's like Gervais wants us to feel dumb, and so is hitting us with a giant dumb hammer until we've been bludgeoned into a murky pool of dumb pulp. Ironically, had he actually hit us with the giant dumb hammer until we'd been bludgeoned into a murky pool of dumb pulp, the film might be that little bit more enjoyable. It's not exactly clear who the target audience is for the film, as the characters open with a frank discussion about masturbation. The film was rated a 12A in the UK, and so was largely considered to be a family film. And while you can imagine that jokes about masturbation are funny when you're joking around with your friends in the playground, as soon as you're sitting between your mother on one side and your dad on the other, it becomes instantly less funny. As I suggested before, anyone not wanting to have any of the plot ruined should stop watching by the count of 3. 3. The breakthrough comes when Ricky Gervais goes into a bank to withdraw some money because he's been fired from his job and evicted from his apartment and needs to use the last of his money to hire a van to move his stuff. The computer at the bank is down, and because nobody lies, the cashier just asks him how much he has in his account. After all, in a world where nobody lies, who is she to doubt him? He then invents the lie and tells her he has more money in his account than he actually has. This perfectly illustrates the issue of lying present throughout the entire film, and here's where I start to sound a little bit like a politician and explains why I can never get a girl to trust me. There's a whole world of difference between not lying and telling the truth, what we'll refer to as grey area. In this grey area, we have room to run around and play games and generally avoid telling the truth without being in danger of lying. For instance, Gervais's character didn't have to lie. He could have said, I would like to withdraw $800. That would have had two benefits. There would have been no first lie and subsequently no film, which upon reflection doesn't sound like a terrible idea. It's called misdirection, and everybody does it. It's like when your girl is in a shop and trying on a dress and she comes out and asks, does this make me look fat? You can always screw up your nose, frown and say, why on earth would I think that? Before quickly changing the subject. The biggest controversy in the film is the absence of any and all religion. This is bound to upset some people who are believers, and while you may not worry about being sent a letter of complaint by a group of disgruntled nuns, there are certainly some people you should aim to avoid upsetting on the issue. The film does go on to imply that there are certain benefits to having religion in an attempt to hide the fact that it's calling a lot of people stupid, but by that point the damage is already done. At the part of the film where Gervais invents religion, before he later goes on to portray himself as Jesus, it stems from a lie he's telling his dying mother about going on to a better place, and is an example of him trying to say that there are some circumstances under which lying is okay. But that idea isn't very original, and is executed with a lot more tact in Jim Carrey's Liar Liar. Or Santa. I won't say the film is a total disaster, and of course it's difficult to completely hate a film which has Rob Lowe, who, let me be perfectly clear, is a gorgeous, gorgeous man. Ultimately though, I think that anyone who's seen the film will agree that it's a good, but not clever, concept that's fallen short of its mark. I don't feel like my time was stolen away from me, but I can definitely think of other ways I'd rather have been enjoying myself.
Go on, leave me breathless.
This video was obviously done in the style of Ben Yahtzee Crowshaw's Zero Punctuation, and if you're watching and would like to contact me, Ben, you can start by returning some of the fucking emails I've sent you.